I only got this e-bike to use as a tool so I could occasionally detach from my mobile living rig mothership without making it look totally abandoned. But after a bit of using this bike, I'm freaking just using it every single morning. So I'll go over why that is in just a second here. So this thing is a full suspension 26-inch fat tire all-terrain e-bike, and here's a quick run through of what it's packing. The tires are super wide 26x4 trail tires from Innova, and they are actually quite good. I've got them at 15 psi out here in the desert, and they feel kinda ridiculously good actually. There's everything from hard pack to sandy and rocky trails out here, and the stock tires on this thing feel good in all of it. So this all-terrain bike actually comes with legitimate all-terrain tires. The brakes are hydraulic discs front and rear, which is really cool to see on a bicycle. Biggest difference I've noticed going from a bike with cable discs to hydraulic discs is that the hydraulic brakes don't give any pulsation or vibration feedback at the lever, and the amount of braking you get is a lot more in line with the amount of pressure you're putting in, as opposed to cable brakes where after a certain amount of pressure at the lever, it feels like some of your efforts are starting to go to waste in the form of cable stretch. Way less adjustment required over time on the hydraulic brakes too. The front fork is hydraulically damped and it has two adjustments. The left side can dial up the spring preload, and that adjustment does make quite a difference, and the right side is a hydraulic lockout that adjusts in clicks, so if you just put in a few clicks, you just get a little bit of extra damping. And the rear shock is an air shock that you can add or remove air from to increase or decrease the spring rate. The suspension actually works on this bike. You can hit stuff pretty hard and not get bucked, and it's a tolerable experience to ride around even where it's rocky. Ergos wise, this thing has two things really going for it that I quite like. First, the hand grips don't suck. These are actually comfortable and easy to hold on to. Nice to see them actually choose a functional grip when a lot of bicycle manufacturers just refuse to. Second, the seat has a vent down the middle to prevent the dreaded moist crotch, which is nice. Seriously, who wants to go anywhere just to arrive with moist crotch? That's not fun. As far as the controller and display, this thing comes with a color display, which I am very happy to say actually has a pretty quick refresh rate on the data displayed. It doesn't get confused or freeze up or lag or any of that annoying stuff that you tend to see on small little displays like this. Fortunately, it does have an advanced settings menu if you hold down the plus and minus buttons, where you can make changes to the way the bike controller works, such as turning it up to 11, if you know what I'm talking about, and changing the pedal assist settings. Motor-wise, we've got a geared hub motor on this bike, which the specs say puts out up to 1 kilowatt. But I suspect it's a little bit more spicy than that, because this thing is pretty quick. It powers through sand washes and deep gravel no problem, which I'd say is indicative of a good amount of power. The battery that the bike comes with has an 816 watt-hour capacity. Turns out that's good enough to play around in the hills for a few hours and then still have way more than enough capacity to make the trek into town to run some errands. So again, I got this thing just to be able to go into town without making my rig look abandoned. But as I was testing it out, I was actually surprised to find that they weren't kidding when they called it all-terrain. Everything about it, the tires, the brakes, the suspension, makes it actually truly capable of getting out into the good stuff, and beyond that, when you're actually bombing through stuff, it's not even sketchy. So the reason I'm using up practically all of my free time riding this thing is because there's actually a lot of potential to gain some transferable two-wheeled skill on this thing, and that potential is available without the total suckfest of riding a bike that doesn't have a motor, or the total suckfest of riding a bike that doesn't have suspension. And look, I'm a fan of all things on wheels, but ever since I started the mobile living thing, anything I own has to be capable of going off-road without drama, and this e-bike actually over-delivered on that. So I'm happy to see that these things are continuing to move in the direction of becoming truly capable vehicles. If you're gonna look into e-bikes more, start by peeping out the specs on this thing, because this is something that I can put the stamp of approval on saying, yes, this is actually all-terrain capable. So look at what this thing's got and then use that as a benchmark when you're looking at all the other bikes out there. I have a link in the description and the top comment, so please use them.